Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gesher Project. Oh boy. Today we're going to talk about happiness. Why? Why do I do this to myself? um I I find it fascinating that part of what happened with this project is that this is forcing me to deal with a lot of concepts and a lot of ideas that I've struggled with within my own life. I have a really weird relationship with happiness, and I'm hoping that together we can uncover what happiness really means. We all just want to be happy, and I think in order to experience it, we have to understand what it means for ourselves, and what happiness is for me is not what happiness is for, other people. Um, but I think it's so funny that every concept that I've tried to unpack in the last 6 weeks has been something that I've struggled with in my own life because, I'm human. So thank you to everyone who's been submitting these questions and talking, and reaching out because I'm so happy to have the platform and the opportunity to be able to uncover these things collectively, but also for myself in my own life. So thank you guys so much. Um, oh, happiness, happiness, happiness. I think it's so fascinating that we've kind of allowed society to draw the same one size fits all conclusion for what happiness is for all of us. Like, why are we comfortable with that? Like, why are we okay with this one definition that works for everyone when that's not how life works. Life is not that structured. And like I said, what happiness is for me is different than what happiness is going to be for my friends. I love like the Merriam-Webster definition of happiness is feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. Like, what does that mean? That's really flimsy. Like, that's not real. That's not concrete because feeling contentment and pleasure could feel very different to some people. To some people, that means going to a rock concert every night. Like, how do you have the energy to do that? But anyway, and then to some people, that's sitting on a couch and reading a book with a cup of tea and some, Chopin in the background. Like, who are we to say that happiness is one size fits all? But we've done that. Like, that's what we've just done across the board. And if you think about like all the concepts that we've been going through in the Gesher Project, Emunah, inspiration, motivation, and now happiness, these are all things that I thought I understood. And then here I am trying to live a more real, meaningful life. And I find that the terms that were defined for me as a child or as a teenager, just like through life, those are not definitions that fall in line with my values. I feel like my life was hijacked. But at the same time, I also feel like I willingly handed over the keys and allowed other people to tell me what things were meant to mean to me. And that's a huge trap, and I think we all fall into that. But I think all of these concepts are interconnected. So you have to understand one in order to understand the other, and it builds this kind of chain of command which allows you to purposely live your life as best as you can. But that requires each person to define these terms for themselves. And so I feel like my mission in life has become to define the terms that I passively attributed the whole first half of my adult life to, which is just so wild. Like, you spend your whole life trying to understand something, and then here I am, like, trying to relearn everything that I thought I knew. So, happiness. That's one of them. And when I think of the modern societal view of happiness, I immediately think of self-care. That like sea of that like epidemic of that sea of products and advertisements that we're all supposed to buy into that will make our life suck less. And like, don't get me wrong, I like indulging. I appreciate the one time a week indulgence, but and I appreciate fine chocolates and nice wines and bubble baths and taking walks on the beach. And like, listen, if I had the opportunity to drop everything and head to Tuscany for a week if I was offered the chance, like, I would go. But I think all of those things that were offered in this package of self-care are an escape. So self-care feels like an escape from reality. And like, if you're running away from what your life is all the time, that's not good. That's not healthy. Like, that's not self-care. That's denial. And I think we've kind of made happiness into something like that too. Like, oh, my life is boring and work is stressful and life, I don't want to pay my bills, so I'm going to drop everything and go to Disneyland and be happy and ride on roller coasters and, watch the parades and watch the fireworks. So, like, we've cultivated a belief as a society that happiness exists mainly as an escape from daily life. Like, it's boring. It's boring to pay the bills, and it's boring to go to an office job, and it's boring to get up and go to the gym at 7 a.m. Like, let's throw it all and, throw it all away and go to Tahiti or Rome and play hooky and have breakfast at an expensive restaurant that we can't afford, because that's what happiness is. But no, it's not. So I'm kind of like eyeing this idea of self-care from the sidelines and wondering if I should jump on the bandwagon because, I'm marketing. They do such a good job of advertising this idea of taking care of yourself. And then I realized that I have been taking care of myself, and I have jumped on the self-care bandwagon, and I've been on it for a long time, but in a very different way. And so what all of these concepts that we've been developing through Geshe, faith and inspiration and, all of these things, what they have in common and how they tie into happiness is that they're meant to offer us a springboard for discipline and like real, deep, meaningful cultivation of our emotions, happiness being one of them. And happiness is about living with like the deep, wonderful, amazing things in our lives that are sometimes mundane. And really, this is the way I define happiness. It's about being thankful and expressing gratitude for what we have and the gifts that we've been given. Happiness is not about saying yes to every indulgence that serves you, because eventually, by trying to be served all the time, you turn into the slave. And you're the one doing the worshiping. Happiness is about cultivating a sense of gratitude for your life. Your real, true life. Not running away from it, but facing it and being thankful for it, which is really, 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 really hard. Gratitude is intense. Happiness is the ability to live in this life, here, now, where you are, with whatever it brings your way, with a sense of gratitude for the gifts that you have. That doesn't sound very glamorous. Doesn't sound like a runaway to Tahiti. But the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, that's what real happiness is. I am not a gratitude expert. I would say that gratitude is high on my list of aspirations, but I'm really not there yet, and I'm not in a place where I feel like I live my life with real gratitude. I'm just human. One person trying to figure it all out and recording my thoughts as I go along. But that's what I think happiness is. Happiness is gratitude. That's the key. So if you want to explore more on this concept of happiness and gratitude and the real meaning of self-care, head over to the blog. It's gesheproject.wordpress.com to read on. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen and read and give me your feedback. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next week, we will be diving into how to cultivate a sense of gratitude that starts from the inside and expresses itself outward, instead of trying to find gratitude and happiness from the outside and build it into you. All right, guys. Awesome. Rock on. You're the best.